They put on arguably their best performance of the year. It's one of the best performances ever by a defense in a Super Bowl, and it is the primary reason why the Eagles are Super Bowl champions. The Eagles' defense is very simply one of the best defenses that we have seen in years. And this is a generational defense. Think 2013 Seahawks, think 2000 Ravens, think any other defense you want to throw in there. This defense is right up there with them. They just have enough talent on offense that we don't necessarily think of them first. But this performance by Philadelphia's defense was their capstone project, their master's thesis, their PhD dissertation. This was a defensive performance that was all-encompassing in every way you can be great defensively. They simply smothered the Chiefs in a way that we didn't even think was possible to do to that quarterback. You're not supposed to be able to do that to Patrick Mahomes. He's too good. He's too smart. The ball comes out too quickly. He knows the answers to the test always. It did not matter yesterday. They tightened the screws to 10, knowing that the only way to beat a defense that is that suffocating underneath is to get over the top, and then you couldn't get over the top on them because there wasn't going to be time. That takes time, even for Xavier Worthy, the fastest player in the league based off of 40 time. It takes time for him to get downfield. To get 40 yards downfield, it took him 4.22 seconds. You don't have 4.22 seconds. You didn't have 2.22 seconds yesterday. And the way they did it was a beautiful blend, as much as it pains us to say here in D.C., a truly beautiful blend of personnel and scheme. Let's talk about the personnel first for number two.
Number two.
They took what was an old, slow, and unproductive defense, and in one offseason, through a combination of good drafting and good luck and good planning, turned it into one of the fastest, most explosive units in the NFL. The luck part is simple. They can talk all they want about, oh, we had Zach Bond and, we had the foresight to move him to inside linebacker. Great. You deserve immense amounts of credit. Vic Fangio, Nick Sirianni, Howie Roseman, the linebackers, whoever it was that was like, hey, Bond, let's not have you be a mediocre edge player and special teams guy. What happens? You seem to be pretty good at moving backwards. Let's try you out in coverage. Oh, wow, you're pretty good at this. And then he turns into an all-pro. They can say, oh, we had a vision for it. You don't change positions in the NFL and go from, I don't want to say scrub, but like backup player, guy who signed for like $1.5 million to all-pro at a new position in 1 year. That is one of the most remarkable. I mean, now that we're done and he helped him win a Super Bowl and he had a pick in the Super Bowl and he made the All-Pro team, he was Defensive Player of the Year finalist. That's one of the greatest single-year stories in NFL history. Like, we can't – how else could it have gotten better? Like, I guess if he, wins MVP as a defensive player, certainly if he wins Defensive Player of the Year, but, he was a finalist for that award. Truly one of the greatest single-season stories in NFL history, and there is undoubtedly some element of luck that is in that, and I know that because they signed Devin White, who you didn't even know was on the Eagles. I don't even know if he's still on the Eagles. Devin White signed for double this offseason what Zach Bond did, and Bond turned in to that dude. They also obviously drafted Cooper DeJean. I know that one hurts Washington fans, but you wind up with Mike Sanders still, and we'll see what Ben Sinnott is and everything else that happened with that trade. Trades can be good for both teams. Just because the Eagles won this year doesn't mean, the Eagles won the trade forever. Let's see how the next 5-10 years plays out. But certainly Cooper DeJean's a fantastic player, had an enormous impact with the pick six last night on what is absurdly his 22nd birthday. He is so young. Most of the guys that get drafted this year will be older than Cooper DeJean is right now, and he has a pick six in the Super Bowl on his resume. Kenyon Mitchell, the other guy they drafted in the first round, a tremendous pickup and so well coached. He's so smart. He's so fast. He shut down multiple shot plays to Worthy last night. His ability to run across the field with some of these crossing routes, the length, the play strength. He is just a really sensational corner. And then some of the other pieces like Jalen Carter, who took a leap this year from a very promising rookie to genuinely one of the best game wreckers in the NFL. And then you have guys like Josh Sweat and Milton Williams who had tremendous games. We'll talk about them a little bit more in a bit. But the transformational pieces for me are Bond, DeJean, Mitchell, and Carter going to a completely new level. And that leads us to how Vic Fangio ultimately deployed them, which is number 3 in our 1st and 10.
Number 3.
The Philadelphia Eagles had 0 blitzes yesterday. 0 blitzes. That is, they sent 5 or more in pressure 0 times. They did run a few simulated pressures, but they always had 4 or 3 blitzing, or 4 or 3 rushing, I should say, and 7 or 8 in coverage. And if you want to know how you are as sticky and how there is as little air in the defense as Philadelphia constantly had, that is the biggest reason why. They simply had the bodies to do it. When you have to bring extra pressure and you're 3 deep, 4 underneath, or your quarters match coverage with 4 potential deep defenders and 3 underneath becomes 3 and 3, the field gets a lot bigger very, very quickly. You also inherently, as that shift is happening, the blitz has to come from somewhere. That is something that tends to draw quarterback eyes, and the great ones like Mahomes, and Jaden Daniels is also great at this for whatever it's worth a lot. Their eyes go to where that vacancy is, where that void is. There was no void because they did not blitz. And the ability to then say, okay, well, what's the problem? Why wouldn't you do that all the time? Well, then because you don't get any pressure on the quarterback, except for they did. They tied the Super Bowl record for sacks in this game with 6. They just, with a combination of guys like Bond, Mitchell, and DeJean, who I mentioned, the way that those guys cover ground, the speed that they have, and the intelligence that they had, how well taught they are, where they understand this quarters match Vic Fangio scheme, where this is the part of the field that is dangerous on this play. Oh, I understand this route concept, or I understand if this guy goes here, I need to follow him because I'm just going to be babysitting empty grass. And that's what happens on the DeJean pick. Kenyon Mitchell is running with the play behind it, and there's just extra bodies in the area. And so it goes from being a flood play by Kansas City where they're trying to flood the zone and make sure that they have someone open because Philly doesn't have the amount of guys you would need to cover the receivers in that section of the field, to just an endless flood of bodies, and DeJean gets lost in Mahomes' vision. He peels off, and it's also a 3rd and long, I believe, and so he realizes, like, I don't need to cover the flat. What am I going to do? Babysit this 5-yard area in case there's a check down to the running back that would then have to run 12 yards to get a first down? No. I'm going to back off and make these windows tighter. And the consistent ability to understand what offenses wanted to do, have the bodies there, and make sure that you're then not weak for deeper shots because, 1, you're playing a quarters 4 deep type of base structure, and 2, because your pass rush is so good that you don't need blitzers to get home, is how you get a generational defense. And that is exactly what this was. Again, they put on arguably their best performance of the year. It's one of the best performances ever by a defense in a Super Bowl, and it is the primary reason why the Eagles are Super Bowl champions.
This is the Hoffman Show on the T980 and the Odyssey app.